Brakes have been around for more than a century. The first brake system consisted merely of a block of wood and a lever. When drivers wanted to stop their vehicles, all they had to do was pull the lever to make the block of wood grind against the wheels. Fast forward to today, and we have carbon composite brakes and rotors that stop Formula One cars with 6 G's of force. And there's one company that couldn't be stopped, and that company is brembo. Brembo was established in Italy on January 11, 1961 by Emilio Bombesi, who is the father to the current chairman Alberto Bombesi and his brother-in-law Italio Breda. The shop began as a small mechanical workshop, and in 1964 they got their first big brake. Get it? Brake? Sorry. Emilio convinced Alfa Romeo to buy Brembo brakes instead of the British ones and started working on new materials, as he thought the cast iron brakes were too heavy, and Alfa Romeo ordered 1,000 units. The 1970s. This was a big decade for the company. Most of us know Brembo from the automotive industry, but when they actually started, they started racing with motorcycles, and they partnered with Moto Guzzi and won many Moto Grand Prix races. If there had to be one big year for Brembo, it would be in 1975. Enzo Ferrari saw how successful their brakes were in the motorcycle world, so he asked if they could supply brakes for his Formula One team. Right after that deal, Ferrari won 3 Constructors' Championships in 75, 76, and 77. So of course, all the other teams wanted Brembos as well. By the 80s, there was no limit for the one small company. Eager to find new challenges, they decided to make brakes for production cars. They worked with Porsche, Mercedes, Lancia, BMW, Nissan, and Chrysler. From the late 1990s to today, Brembo has grown year over year. Some notable accomplishments are acquiring AP Racing in 2000 and expanding their branches to over 14 countries worldwide. This small shop that started in Italy is now worth over $3 billion today. So why did they become popular? And why are they so dang expensive? Prior to the 80s and early 90s, the aesthetic and weight of brake calipers weren't a big deal. Brembo changed that. Most sports cars at the time used cast iron floating calipers. A floating caliper works by moving parallel to a brake rotor. Once the brake pedal is pressed, brake fluid pushes one or more pistons on one side against the rotor. This slides the caliper over until both pads are touching the rotor. Brembo uses a fixed aluminum caliper, which also gives it a unique design compared to a sliding caliper. In this instance, once the brake pedal is pressed, brake fluid pushes on the brake pads with an equal amount of force on each side. This allows for a more even braking force, but also adds more complexity. For example, if you were to bleed the brakes on the floating caliper, you only need to bleed one side. But for fixed calipers, you would need to bleed the inside, then the outside of the caliper. When most people think of a red sports car, they think of Ferrari. When most people think of big brakes, they think of Brembo. You would think the main reason they became popular is because of their branding. When you're on race cars and you have Ferrari and Porsche putting your brakes on, it's only a matter of time you'll get famous, right? Well, that's partly true. Another major contribution for their popularity is Brembo's revenue. Since they're one of the top brake companies in the world, they're able to get more and more money and reinvest it into better and better R&D, which means a better product. And this also means that the cost is increased. From racing in Formula One to being on a Subaru BRZ, Brembo is undefeated in the industry, and it's down to 3 main factors that make their braking system so great. 1. Size matters. When you look at the calipers from Brembo, they're huge. A larger pad and a larger rotor means more surface area, which also means more stopping power and that it'll take longer for the rotors to heat up. 2. Lightness. You can tell from their calipers that they try to make them as light as possible by shaving off any unnecessary aluminum. When it comes to their carbon rotors, they weigh half as much as their traditional discs, and this means less rotating mass. 3. Friction material. Brembo is always trying to improve the material used in their pads, rotors, and calipers. After all, this was the basis the company was founded on. Whether it's brakes for an F1 car or for a street car, they're always trying to improve and find that perfect balance with size, weight, and performance in each application. One concern I have for automotive aftermarket manufacturers is electrification. As more and more cars are being electrified, companies that make radiators, exhaust, or anything that revolves around the combustion engine is in jeopardy. At least Brembo is out of this bubble, and it seems like they'll only get bigger and bigger in the future. And who knows, maybe we'll see electric race cars with Brembos on the street. From million-dollar hypercars, race cars, and street cars, Brembo has left their mark in the car culture. There is a Brembo for every car. Thank you guys for watching this segment of car culture. If there's any topics that you guys want to talk about in the car culture, whether it's communities, topics, and that's my girlfriend dancing in the back. Comment them down below, it's always very interesting covering, topics like Brembo or companies back in the day, and I love doing the research, but hit that like and subscribe, and that'll help the channel out a lot. It'll help me as a content creator grow. But that's gonna be it for today's video. If you guys liked it, leave a comment, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.